Welcome to Vlogmas Day 3, where we're going to be diving into our annual review and planning sessions. If you were with me days 1 and 2, we covered weekly reviews and planning, quarterly planning, and then today we're going to dive into our yearly review and planning. And as always, there's a free template to go alongside this. If you want to access and follow along, all you have to do is sign up for my newsletter. The link is in the description below. Now, when we think of annual planning, we tend to think of it around December and January. But I think it's important to recognize that we can follow this at any point in time. We're not limited to a date on a calendar. Sometimes we will set our plan for the year and then we will get new data and that will change that plan. And we have to do a hard reset. For me, I had to do that this year in March. I was dealing with some health challenges. What I had planned for the year was just not going to happen. And I had to redo everything. And that's okay. I think we have to give ourselves permission to do that. Sometimes we see quitting as this terrible thing. But the truth is, if you are sticking with something that is not working, you are quitting on yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you have to change plans every month. You probably want to stick with it long enough to gain momentum and put data behind the work that you're carrying out. But if it gets to a point where you realize this is not for me, you can absolutely stop and begin again. It's okay. With that in mind, let's head on over to the computer and I'll show you how I do my annual review and planning sessions. As always, take what's helpful, discard what's not, and always ask the question, how does this apply to me? So I start off in my CEO/team meeting database. Now, if you were with me at the beginning of Vlogmas, this is the template I gave away on day 1. So if you have yet to access that, you can do so just by signing up to my newsletter. The link is in the description. Now, the only thing not included are these drop-down templates, but I have shared them every day, and at the end of today, where I'll be giving away this annual review and planning template, I'm going to show you how you can add this into your database as well. So we'll start by selecting this option. That's going to open up a new planning session. I can come up here to make it full page, and it can sometimes take a few seconds to populate just because it's a relatively large template. Now, I have a number of my own databases included in here. That does not come with your template. There's space for you to add in your own responses manually. So we'll start by giving it a name. I'm going to do 2022/2023. The only attendee is me. I will give it a date, so December 3rd. Change my status to in progress, and then once it's done, I'll select complete. Type here is automatically going to populate as annual, and then I'll just select the year. And because it's a planning session as well, I'm going to select the year ahead. And you'll see here, I've got it broken down into a few sections. So review, reflect on the last year, reset and optimize the present, and then renew for the next 12 months. And I always include a space for additional notes and a summary of next year's plans. So coming up to the top here, I've got a welcome message. There's a space for a welcome video. If I'm working with a team, I'd have that filled in. A checklist that's for a team, but I have to use myself just to remind me to get off Twitter, stop playing that one Taylor Swift song on repeat, and focus. And then once I've done that, I can come in and I can start to review my last year. And I should say that I do this over a couple of days. I don't just sit here and do this in 1 hour or a couple of hours. I do take my time with it, and I'll usually do the review and the reset and the planning on separate days. So starting at this section, I've got my 3 words that I set for the year. I'll come in and I'll type these out. This is a concept from Chris Brogan. I have been doing it for over a decade now, and I find it to be really helpful to set 3 words every year. If you want to join in, I've got a link to it. I highly recommend. And so what I'll do is I'll just ask myself whether I followed through on the 3 words that I set. And I'll put in some notes here as well on just how the year went and if I was consistent throughout it. Once I've done that, I will look at my scorecard. And I'm going to apologize up front here because I know it is not helpful to see an empty scorecard. When I'm viewing this, it's completed. So I'm getting to see it with all of the information in, all of the results in. I'm showing you a template. I'd love to share the completed one, but that's just a little bit too much personal information for me to share on YouTube, but I can walk you through how it works. So if you want to create your own, you can absolutely do so. So I've just got a database here with months down the side. I'm linking to my annual goals. So I will assign different goals to different months depending on when I'm working on them. I've got my quarters, I've got my years, and then I've got my metrics along here. And if I delete this one, that is revealing I tried to record this video before and it didn't go well, I will show you how you can add that again. So you just click this plus icon, select number, you would put in your metric, so whatever the metric it is you're tracking, and then you could change this icon if you want to pretty it up a little bit. Then here under number format, you'll just select it and you will select what that format is. So if you're tracking something like open rate, you might want to change this to a percentage. If you're tracking a dollar amount, you could change it to your currency. If you are tracking traffic, you might just want to keep it as a simple number. And what's great about this is you can come down to the bottom here and you can select average or sum or median or whatever you want to track, and you could see your performance over the full year. And your key performance indicators will be unique to you, but as you can imagine, once this is completely filled out, it can be really helpful. Now, tracking your metrics in Notion isn't for everyone, but what I like about it is I can come over here and I can change my view and I can add things like filters and grouping. So you'll see here, just as an example, I've put some of the years as 2023 and a couple as 2022. And so I've got the same exact database, but I've grouped it by year. And so now I can review a year-on-year performance. If I come back to my scorecard tab, I can do the same for quarter. So if I come over here and I select group, I can group it by quarter and I can filter it by the year I'm in. And what that will do is it will give me a quarter on quarter comparison and I can see how I performed throughout the year. And once I've taken a good look at all of those metrics, I'll come down here and I'll write some notes. Now this just has 3 bullet points, but by the time I'm done, it's usually pretty extensive because I'm looking at any sort of trend or insight that I can use moving forward as well. Then I have 3 questions, the same ones I ask in my quarterly review and planning sessions. What went well, what didn't go well, and then what went off course. So if we start with what went well, I've got my peaks here so I can see all of my accomplishments throughout the year and celebrate those. And I can open these up. So these all come with prompts. All of my databases come with prompts. So if I just open this one up, what I could do is I would have all the details of that win, and then I have some reflection questions. So not just a case of looking at it, I'm going through and reflecting on it fully. Same with my annual goals. So anything that I've completed will be marked as checked. If I do uncheck just now, you'll see I've got an example goal in here. Neither of those were completed, so it's not shown. But if they were, ideally we would have accomplished some goals and they would be shown here. Quarterly targets. So I've got all of the targets that are either on track or completed. Again, all of these have prompts in here. So I would come down to the results section and I would fill this in, or I would review it if I've already completed it. Same with projects, so I could see all of my completed projects. Now this one isn't complete, you'll see it's at 46%. If I click on the table view of this, it's showing because I've marked the status as complete. So if I change that to in progress, suddenly it's gone. So I'm only showing the projects that I've completed here. And then we look at resolved issues. When it comes to my issues database, if I change this again to table, you'll see that I have type here, and I'm only viewing the resolved issues that are annual issues. I don't need to see everything that I fixed in my business throughout the year because a lot of that stuff is going to be so small and insignificant. I only want to see the big issues that I dealt with. And so if there's a big issue, I'll mark it as annual, and then I can come in here and see what I resolved. And then I just have some reflection questions. What accomplishments am I most proud of? What brought me the most joy? What did I learn? And what do I want to continue to do next year? So I'll close that off. My disappointments or pits database. I will ask myself what didn't go well. Why do I think this happened? What lessons can I take forward? And what adjustments do I need to make next year? And then what went off course. Here I can review last year's plan. This is just going to show me all of my annual review and planning sessions. I can go in, I can look at what I set out to do last year, and then I can compare it to this year and say, okay, what did I not accomplish this year that I wanted to accomplish in terms of annual goals, targets, and projects? And then I can ask myself similar reflection questions. Which of these goals, targets, and projects am I ready to let go of and move on from? Which goals do I want to reprioritize and add to my vision for the upcoming year? Are there any patterns or habits that contributed to me being off track? And what steps or habits can I incorporate to help me stay on track next year? So once I've done that, I will close that out. I will complete my annual review. I will usually take a break because it takes me a little while to go through that. And then when I come back, I am ready to reset and optimize the present before I begin planning next year. So a lot of this is just cleanup. If we click on digital detox, it's going through your inbox, cleaning up your folders, removing any bookmarks. I will go through my tech stack. So I used to be notoriously bad for buying all of the tools all the time and forgetting about them. Now I have a limit on that. So I'm only allowed to purchase tools every quarter and every year, unless it's absolutely essential. I really like this approach because it stops me going down a bunch of rabbit holes. So I will go through my tech stack, I'll review it, I'll see if there are any other tools that I need to purchase, and I will do that at this point in time, not in the moment where I see the shiny object and I want it. Then I'll go through downloads and resources, just Google Chrome, laptop and desktop, social. Basically, we're just cleaning things up fresh for the year ahead. Once I've done that, I will check this off. I will go into skill building. Now, I do have some personal development databases. So I have courses and training, a bookshelf, and then notes and insights. So I'll go through that and I will see how I did over the last year. What skills did I learn? What do I want to learn or improve on over the next 12 months? And then what resources do I need to access to support me in learning? So again, similar to purchasing tools, I'll ask myself if there's any courses that I need to purchase or any certain books or anything like that or training that I need to invest in order to help me accomplish that. Once I've done that, I will check that off and I will go into my Notion strategy and systems update. And I've included instructions even for myself because I sometimes forget. But basically, this section is where I'm cleaning up my Notion account and all of the databases in it. So my personal Notion account has a lot of databases in it. So I'll come in here and I'll go through them. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at the template itself. I'm asking myself if it's still set up the way I want it to be set up. I will come in here, I will look at any templates that I've got. For this particular one, all of these departments are dashboards. So I've got dashboards set up. I will go through each one by just hitting open. I'll go through all of that. I will update anything that needs to be updated and then I'll check it off. So my goal databases, I have vision goals, annual goals, quarterly targets, and my scorecard. So again, I'm going through and I'm just customizing this for the next year. My project management database is I've got projects, action tasks, my peaks, pits, issues, and then my CEO meetings as well. And then my operational ones is my SOPs and my tech stack. And then personal development is my daily tracker. I don't know how I managed to add all of these, but it happened. Courses and training, bookshelf, and notes and insights. And again, I'm showing you an empty template version. Mine is filled out. So there's a lot more to go through and check off. And then if there's anything else I need to add, I'll just click this button and it will give me another option. I will add whatever it is I need to track in here and then I will check it off. Once that's done, I will click to complete my reset and optimization. Again, I will take a break. I will go back to listening to Taylor Swift on repeat, probably drink way too much coffee, and then I'll come back and I'll plan my next year. I will start with my vision board. You'll see here I've got a template, so I'll click on this. And this is a narrow view, but I can change this by coming up here and changing it to full width, and that will make it a lot bigger. And this has got two parts to it. So the first part is me going through it and visualizing exactly where I want to be next year. So I'm going to imagine it as if I'm already there. Where do I want to be? And I'm going to write it down as if I'm already there. So what goals have I accomplished? What changes have I made? What challenges have I overcome? In what ways have I grown? What limitations have I released? What areas have I prioritized? What skills have I learned? What habits have I developed? What relationships have I developed? Places I've visited, new experiences I've enjoyed, actions I've taken, what I'm most proud of, and the story I'm telling myself. And I love doing this. I love it as if it's already happened. And then once I've done that, I will go ahead and create my vision board, which is just a bunch of images that I will add. I will add quotes, whatever I want. I'll just make this look pretty. And once I've done this, I usually come up here and star it, and that will pin this to my sidebar in Notion so I can look at it every day. So I'm going to come back out into our session. I'll close that off and we'll look at my 3 words for next year. So I'll set my 3 words and I'll type out what it signifies to me. Once I've done that, I will start looking at my goals. So with vision goals, a lot of the time I'm just reviewing it, and I will link it to my annual goals once I've set those as well. I will go into my annual goals and I'll set a new goal. And so you see here, because I've recorded this video already and it didn't go well, I've got an example. Let's go ahead and do that again. So it's new. I'll put in new goal here. I'll select the term. So let's just do 6 to 12 months. Target date, let's just change it to a year from now. I'll mark the year off as 2023. And then here, I want this to be quantifiable just so that I can get this nice little progress bar. But some things is hard to track that way. So say it's something where it's you either complete it or you don't. I will do the target as 100, as in 100%. And then I'll change the current to wherever I'm at. So it could be like 5 and it will show me 5%. And you'll see here, I've linked it to my vision goals. So I will look at my vision goals and then I'll say, okay, how does this goal help me achieve one of these big vision goals? And I'll come in here and I'll select that. So let's just say it's this one here. And you'll see here is linked to my scorecard. So this is where you would connect those two. And as always, it comes with a template. So once I have added those details in, I'm going to open it up. Select my template, move me over, it just says goal. It's not a very exciting header. And you'll see here, I'll just fill in these prompts for the year ahead. So I've got my annual goal set now. I can break it down and I can update my quarterly targets. So this is showing me everything. I would just add a new one, change this to quarterly target. We're going to pretend we don't see all these failed attempts here. I would assign it to myself. I will start with it being on track. I will change the quarter to quarter 1. I will change the year to 2023. I'll open it up. Again, I'll select my template here and I will fill in this information. And I usually set 3 quarterly targets. So quarter 1 will just have 3 and I don't have to fill in quarter 2, 3 or 4 right now. I can if I've planned it out, but usually I keep that pretty flexible because I want to see how quarter 1's done. And then in my quarterly planning session, I will update it for Q2, 3 and 4. So once I've done that, I will move into projects and priorities and I will just add any new projects that I've got set up here. And under type, I will say what type of project it is. It looks better when it's filled in, I promise. And then I have an annual overview. So I'll change this to 2023. And what this is going to do is give me my months. I can put in my financial goal for each month. I can type in my target. So I would just start typing target. And here I would type in the key projects and actions and then measures. And it's just designed to give me an overview after everything I have just planned out so I can see it across the year. Make sure that I'm being realistic in my goal setting. Usually not, but we try. And it's just visually helpful to see that. And I usually will pin this somewhere as well. So I'll just star it and that way it's in my sidebar. And if I forget what I'm working on throughout the year, I can always revisit it. And then I will just put in some additional notes. I will summarize next year's plan. Then I'm going to come up to the top, change my status to complete. And then I'm going to celebrate because I've just put together my plan for next year and I'm ready to execute it and make sure I achieve those big goals that I've set out to accomplish. Now, the final thing I want to show you is the template that I'm giving you away today. So it looks very similar to what we've just gone over, except if we scroll down to, say, goal setting and we open this up, you'll see there's no database. Instead, I've included what I have in here, and then there's a place for you to either pull in your own databases or just type out your responses. Now, to add this template to your CEO meetings template, which I gave away on day 1, all you have to do is come on over, click this drop down, add a new template. We'll give it a name, say annual review and planning. I can give it an icon here, so I could change this to another calendar. Say we do this one. I'm going to click off of it, come back into my annual template, and all I'm going to do is drag my mouse over all of it, copy that, go back into my CEO meetings, come back to the drop down, click these 3 dots, hit edit. This time I'm going to open it in full page view. I'm going to click these 3 dots to make it full width. I'll click into the page and I'm just going to paste and that will add it in there. The other thing I'm going to do is change the type to year so I don't have to do that every single time. And then I'll come back out into my CEO meetings and if we click this drop down, you'll see that now appears here. And what's great is I can click these 3 dots. I can set that to repeat every year. and I choose what day of the year that I want that to repeat on, and that will automatically add new sessions into your meeting database. Now I want to hear from you. What's your approach when it comes to annual planning? Have you set your goals for next year already, or are you still working through them? Let me know in the comments section and let's start a conversation. Tomorrow, I will be sharing my approach to goal setting. We'll look at vision goals, annual goals, and quarterly goals. And as always, I'll be giving away a free template alongside that. If that's something that you want to stick around for, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you can be notified when I release that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.